Shabbat Shalom and good morning. Good morning, Junior. Shabbat Shalom and good morning. Greetings to the 12 tribes of the bloodline descendants of Jacob, whose name was changed by the Most High to Israel, and his children by prophecy have been scattered to the four corners of the earth through captivity and slavery. Greetings. Greetings to those who are not of the bloodline of Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel, but want to serve the true God, the only true God, whose name is Yahweh. We call him Yah for short. Yahweh, which means Yah exists. And they want to serve the only true God who made covenant with his nation, Israel, who are scattered, and they want to join with that nation in serving the only true God of perfect righteousness. Greetings. Greetings to those that want nothing to do with religion, but want truth and righteousness and answers to the many evils that are going on the planet. Greetings. Greetings to those in the chat, to Mark and Lorna and Isha and Junior. Greetings to all of you. So we have been studying the book of Revelation, and we have done the introduction to the book. We did the 7 churches, we did the 7 seals, and now we are at the tail end of the 7 trumpets, and we're in the 6th trumpet of the 7 trumpets. In our study of the book of Revelation, we understand that the churches and the seals and the trumpets move in a rhythm together. So that we understand, as we saw in Revelation chapter 7 and in the end of chapter 6 from verse 12 all the way into chapter 7, when we saw what we saw was the introduction in the 6th seal of the 144,000. The introduction in the 6th seal of the 144,000. We also saw the description of them in Revelation chapter 3, and let's take a look at that. A description of them in Revelation chapter 3 in the 6th church, which is Philadelphia. We are now in the 6th church, the 6th seal, and the 6th trumpet. That's where we are right now in Earth's history. Some people wonder. So there's some people who are unfortunately being mistaught that are we even in the book of Revelation yet? Is it now or is it in the future? It's not only now. We're closing in on the end of the book. The majority of the history is behind us. We're at the end now. It's not, only things left in the future are very few and very dramatic, but very few. We are actually living in the end. So we're in the 6th church, the 6th seal, and the 6th trumpet. So let's take a look at the 6th church for a minute, because we talked about the 144,000. And in Revelation chapter 3, and let me also answer this question that a lot of people have been wondering: when are the 144,000 going to appear? Let me explain. The 144,000 are already here. They're here on the earth right now. They're not going to appear on television or in stadiums filled with people. They're regular people that the world will pay no attention to. Just like the 12 apostles were regular people that the world will pay no attention to. Just like Elijah the prophet was a regular person that the world will pay no attention to. And after Moses left the courts of Pharaoh, in the highest courts in the world at that time, and he went into the wilderness, nobody paid any attention to him. That's the 144,000 story. They're pre-prepared. And it's important for you to also understand that the 144,000 are not going to be all in one place, because the nation of Israel, the chosen people, the true chosen people, who you can identify by their history of slavery, are not all in one place. Like the Indians, who are also scattered all over the earth, are not all in one place. And as all of these groups are in different places, so are the 144,000 scattered into different places. So don't expect to see them in some group somewhere or in some building somewhere where you can identify them like that. They'll be identified by the power of the Father's Spirit that attends their message and their teaching. For they are teachers of the word of righteousness on this earth. They do not follow a religion. The Israelites are not about a religion, an institution, a 501c3 corporation. That is not them. It's about a nation, a country, país in Spanish, being brought back together at the close of this earth's history of Babylon. A nation being reconstituted and restitution made and restoration made to that nation whose God is the God of Jacob. Let's look at Revelation chapter 3 and beginning at verse 7. This is the sixth church of the seven churches. And to the angel of the church in Philadelphia write, these things saith he that is holy, he that is true, he that hath the key of David, he that openeth and no man shutteth, and shutteth and no man openeth. This is Messiah. Messiah is doing the speaking here. He's speaking through his angel to John, Yakan, on the island of Patmos. And as he's speaking, he's describing the seven time periods of the history of Babylon, which is going to be coming to an end very shortly. And is a prelude to the kingdom, which we're going to read about, talk about today in Revelation chapter 11. And so he's saying that he has the key of David. What does that mean? That means he has the keys to the kingdom. That means he is the controller, the opener and shutter of the kingdom. He allows into his kingdom who he will, and he denies from his kingdom who he will. He represents the Father. All things are owned by the Father, but the Father has given to Messiah the earth as Messiah's kingdom. And Messiah has the keys to this kingdom, and he says he opens and no man can shut, and he shuts and no man can open. What does that mean? When he permits a soul into his kingdom, there'll be a great fight from the enemy, but he can't stop it. When he stops a soul or denies entry into his kingdom, there'll be a great fight from the enemy, but he can't open it. When Messiah allows a soul into his kingdom, that soul is in the kingdom. When he denies it, that soul will be lost. He's the decider. Revelation chapter 3, verse 8, I know thy works, and behold, I have set before thee an open door, and no man can shut it. So for the people represented in the church of Philadelphia, he says, I'll open the door for you. No man will be able to stop you from entering. For thou hast a little strength, and has kept my word, and has not denied my name. In order to know you're not denying his name, wouldn't it seem obvious that you need to know his name? If you're not going to deny it, you should know it. But it's not just that. When you look up the word name in Greek, it's not just what somebody's called. It's a representation of their character. In this case, the character of Messiah is a representation of the character of our Father. They have not denied his character. His character is perfect righteousness and truth. His character is of such that he never makes a mistake. Ever. And when he covers you with his character, his spirit, you are representing him. And to not deny it means that you are faithfully representing him by receiving of his spirit. Let's continue. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Yahudim and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet and to know that I have loved thee. Who are these people? Who are these people that say they are Yahudim or representing the southern kingdom of Judah and are lying? Who are these people? Well, whoever they are, let's go by what we know by just reading the verse itself. Whoever they are, they're not representing the southern kingdom. Whoever they are not Israelites. Whoever they are liars because they're denying truth. Whoever they are. So you want to know who they are? Who's lying about representing Judah? Who's lying about representing the chosen people? Who's lying about representing Messiah? Those are the people he's talking about. And he says there's going to come a situation where he says, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, the feet of the Philadelphians in the sixth church, and to know that I have loved thee. Verse 10, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. He's going to keep us during that hour. He's going to protect us. He's going to keep us. He's going to guide us. He's going to have us under the shadow of his wings. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Almighty, right? I'm sorry, let me say it right. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High, shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. It's going to protect us and keep us from that hour. We're going to talk more about that as we study. Verse 11, behold, I come quickly. Hold that fast which thou hast, that no man take thy crown. And verse 12 is really the kicker here. That tells you it's the 144,000. Verse 12, him that overcometh will I make a pillar in the temple of my Most High. He shall go no more out. I will write upon him the name of my Most High and the name of the city of my Most High, which is New Jerusalem, which cometh down out of heaven from my Most High, and I will write upon him my new name. Messiah apparently will get a new name. So even if you're stuck on the European name, Jesus, that's not going to be his name in the kingdom. He's going to have a new name. And he says that name is going to be written on the people of the sixth church, as well as the name of the New Jerusalem, as well as the name of the Father. And let's take a look at this, Revelation chapter 14, which helps us put this together. Revelation 14, verse 1. Notice what it says in Revelation 14, verse 1. And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on Mount Zion. Mount Zion is in the kingdom. And with him 144,000. What about them? Having his Father's name written in their foreheads. Having his Father's name written in their foreheads. Go back to verse 12 of chapter 3 again. And he that overcometh will I make a pillar in the temple of my Most High. That's his Father. and he shall go no more, and I will write upon him the name of my Most High, with his father's name in their foreheads. This is the 144,000. Okay, in the sixth church. We already saw them, of course, in the sixth seal, right? Revelation chapter 7. Revelation chapter 7. Revelation 7, beginning at verse 1, going down to verse 4. Revelation 7, beginning at verse 1 and going down to verse 4. And after these things, I saw four angels standing on the four corners of the earth, holding the four winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living Most High. And he cried with a loud voice to the four angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our Most High in their foreheads. And I heard the number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel, representing all the tribes of Israel, this 144,000 who are going to be pillars in the temple of Yah, who are going to have his name written on them, and the name on the New Jerusalem, and the new name of Messiah. So we see them in the sixth church, and we see them in the sixth seal, and now we see them in the sixth trumpet. Revelation chapter 11. And again, we're talking about the two witnesses. Now, people get caught up because it's two witnesses, and I understand that, two witnesses, and they think of Elijah and Moses. A lot of people do, and I understand it. But you have to understand, it's not Elijah and Moses is not going to come down and bear witness on the earth. It's not them. It's what they represent. Just like it says here, before we even go there, Malachi chapter 4. Malachi chapter 4. Malachi chapter 4. Beginning at verse 1, reading down to verse 6 with the emphasis on verse 5. Malachi 4 from 1 to 6, beginning at 1, but emphasizing verse 5. Notice what it says. For behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yea, all that do wickedly shall be stubble. And in the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith Yahweh of hosts, it shall leave them neither root nor branch. But unto you that fear my name shall the Son of Righteousness arise, with healing in his wings. And he shall grow forth and grow up as calves of the stall. And ye shall tread down the wicked, for they shall be ashes under the soles of your feet in the day that I shall do this, saith Yahweh of hosts. Remember ye the law of Moses, my servant, which I commanded him in order for all Israel, with the statutes and judgments. Verse 5. Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of Yahweh, and he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse. Well, remember what Messiah said. John the Baptist was Elijah. He said they seen Elijah, and they did to him as they supposed to, because the scribes was thinking that this Malachi would be the first appearance of Messiah. That's what they were thinking. So they were teaching the people that when Messiah comes, this is what he's going to do. He's going to destroy the wicked. That's why the apostles asked Messiah, if you recall, in Acts chapter 1, before he was taken up, they said, Master, will you at this time restore the kingdom to Israel? Because they was expecting this. And that's why they asked him, they said, why is it that the scribes say that Elijah must come first? And he said, Elijah did come. They didn't recognize him. And he was talking about John the Baptist, which means it wasn't Elijah the person. It was a person with the spirit. In fact, it says in the spirit and power of Elijah. Well, same thing with these two witnesses, the spirit and power of Moses and Elijah defending and representing the covenant. Remember, we talked about it last night. Moses came down from 40 days and 40 nights, no food, no water, in the very presence, one-on-one, face-to-face with the Father, and he received the two tables of the covenant. He said, after the tenors of these words, I have made a covenant with thee and with Israel. And he brought the two tables of the covenant, and they call it the two tables of testimony or witness. Two tables of witness. otherwise known as the Ten Commandments, placed them in the tabernacle of witness, in the ark of the testimony, or the ark of the covenant, or the ark of witness, as all three is called. So these are the two witnesses. And the spirit that's representing his people at that time is bringing forth the words of the Father that's representing these two witnesses, because on the planet Earth, the two witnesses are hated. The Gentiles hate the two witnesses. The Gentiles hate the two witnesses. If they love the two witnesses, they would love the people that represent the two witnesses. But they hate the two witnesses. And they create all kinds of institutions to try to replace the two witnesses, which is why we read in the those are the synagogue of Satan. They say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. There's all kinds of institutions. There's Judaism, Islam, Christianity, all of them trying to replace Israel, by the way, and hate the two witnesses, make up their own religions of the imagination of their own heart, as we have studied in these 7 trumpets. Didn't we study where it says gall and wormwood? Didn't we read that? They hate the two witnesses and yet claim to be representing. But the 144,000 will be the true representatives of the witnesses. And when you're representing the witnesses, you're representing Father's righteousness. The Son of Righteousness will arise with healing in his wings. So we talked about that when we studied the two witnesses, and we saw even the Most High said, measure the temple of Yah and them which worship therein. But the court that's outside the temple, leave that out. It's given to the Gentiles. Brethren, if you ask the majority of the Gentiles on this earth, are y'all lost? What are they going to tell you? Oh no, I've received Jesus as my Savior. I'm under grace. Brethren, I'm going to tell you something honestly, man. This is not the time to be faking the funk. This is not the time for philosophy and religion. It's just not the time, man. This thing's about to be wrapped up on the real. And those people that are serious about truth will know that. Okay? Those people that are serious about truth will know that. Okay? That's why we don't have to argue with people. We don't have to argue and defend the Most High. We just have to present the righteousness of the Father. Chips will fall where they will. The Most High, it said, Yahweh added to the church daily such as should be saved. And even that they perverted. Talking about joining a denomination is joining the church. The church is a nation, y'all. It's a nation that's spread all over the earth through captivity. The Bible said, I will spread them all over the earth. I'm going to gather them from the 4 corners. The true church is the nation of Israel. Brother Stephen, before he was martyred, called it the church in the wilderness. That's what he called it. Let me show you. Acts chapter 7. Let me show you. Acts chapter 7. Acts chapter 7, beginning at verse. I'm going to start and see. Where should I start? I'm trying to find that one verse, but I'm going to have to read it in a context anyway. So let's see. There it is. Okay. I'm going to start Acts chapter 7. I'm going to start at verse 30. Acts chapter 7, I'm going to start at verse 30. And I'm going to go down to verse 39. And when 40 years were expired, there appeared to him in the wilderness of Mount Sinai an angel of Yahweh in the flame of fire in a bush. And when Moses saw it, he wondered at the sight. And as he drew near to behold it, the voice of Yahweh came unto him, saying, Ahiah, I am the Most High of thy fathers. Ahiah, the Most High of Abraham the Most High of Isaac, the Most High of Jacob. Then Moses trembled and durst not behold. Then said Yahweh to him, put off thy shoes from thy feet, for the place whereon thou standest is holy ground. I have seen the affliction of my people, which is in Egypt, and have heard their groaning, and am come down to deliver them. And now come, I will send thee into Egypt. This Moses, whom they refuse, saying, who made thee a ruler and a judge? The same did Yah send to be a ruler and a deliverer by the hand of the angel which appeared to him in the bush. And he brought them out after that he had showed wonders and signs in the land of Egypt and in the Red Sea and in the wilderness 40 years. This is that Moses, which said to the children of Israel, a prophet shall Yahweh your Most High raise up unto you of your brethren like unto me. Him shall ye hear. This is he that was in the church in the wilderness. Was it a place with two steeples and a cross? Did it have pews? This church? How many members were there of this church? Did they have outreach? You know, Pastor's Day, Women's Day, First Lady's Day in this church? Who's the Reverend? Moses the Reverend? This is he that was in the church in the wilderness with the angel which spake to him in Mount Sinai, and with our fathers who received the lively oracles to give unto us, to whom our fathers would not obey, but thrust him from them in their hearts and turned back again to Egypt. So the church in the wilderness was the nation of Israel. The nation of Israel, who he took out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. But he says something else in Jeremiah chapter 23 about those same people, which indicates what the state is going to be in terms of our condition at this time. Notice Jeremiah chapter 23, beginning at verse 5, Jeremiah 23, beginning at verse 5 and reading down to verse 8 with the emphasis on verse 8. Watch now. Behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, that I will raise unto David a righteous branch, and a king shall reign and prosper, and shall execute judgment and justice in the earth. That's Messiah. In his days, Judah shall be saved, and Israel shall dwell safely. And this is his name, whereby he shall be called. You want to know his new name? In English, it says, the Lord our righteousness. But in Hebrew, it's Yahweh Asadak. Yahweh our righteousness. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, that they shall no more say, Yahweh liveth, which brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. So the first time he brought us out of Egypt, but he says that's going to be played out. What's coming next? But Yahweh liveth, which brought up and which led the seed of the house of Israel. That's us. Out of the north country, and from all countries whither I had driven them, and they shall dwell in their own land. So whereas he brought us out of Egypt, this time he's bringing us from all the countries of the earth. Whereas all the plagues were centered in Egypt, this time they're centered in all the places of the earth, which is why the 144,000 are not in one place. They're all over the earth, just like the people all over the earth. One more scripture with regard to this. Isaiah chapter 11. Isaiah chapter 11. Notice what it says, Isaiah 11, verse 12. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. One more, because this is about the awakening that's now taking place. Deuteronomy chapter 30. That's an awakening chapter, one of many. But let's look at Deuteronomy chapter 30. This is a chapter of the awakening that's now taking place. This is prophetic. Deuteronomy chapter 30, beginning at verse 1. And it shall come to pass when all these things are come upon thee, that is you Israelites, the blessing and the curse, which included slavery, which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations, whither Yahweh thy Most High had driven thee. So he driven us into all nations, and we're going to recall the slavery. Is that happening now? Are we recalling the slavery and understanding why? Yes, prophetic. And thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations with Yahweh thy most high had driven thee. See? All over the earth. That's why Revelation keeps saying every nation and kindred and tongue and people, because his people are driven into every nation and kindred and tongue and people. And he's going to have redeemed ones from every nation and kindred and tongue and people. And not only are they going, he's getting Israelites, but he's going to have, what does he say? Gentiles going to cleave to the house of Israel. Cleave to the house of Jacob. There's Gentiles. They're going to cleave to the house. They're going to be grafted in to the nation. This is not a religion, not a church in terms of Christianity, or a synagogue in terms of Judaism, or a mosque in terms of Islam. This is a nation that's scattered, a chosen nation, the bloodline of Abraham, chosen. It's important to know who these people are. That's why we stress that they brown. We stress that they come out of slavery, because it's important for the earth to know who they are. You want salvation? You better know who the Israelites are. You want salvation? You better know who the Israelites are. And understand that that Messiah is representing them first. If you despise them, you're despising the Messiah. You're despising Messiah, you're despising the Father. See, that's why it's important to understand for those people that claim, oh, white Jesus, doesn't matter what color he is, you're a liar. You're a liar if you say that. You're a liar. It's a very important. So you understand who he represents. And don't be deceived by what the world is telling you. But look at what the word is telling you about who this man represents, this Messiah. Who are these people? You need to know who they are. See, let me really break this down for you very tightly so everybody understands. The reason is for us to know who they are is because you understand who Messiah is representing, right? And then when you understand that, it's your acknowledgement. See, that's what it's about, brethren. Receiving the Father's Spirit is by acknowledging truth. You could be as white as a sheet. You can come from Poland. You can come from Russia. You can come from anywhere. But if you acknowledge this truth, you could be saved. That's the thing. Acknowledgement of the truth. That's what it's about. The Most High knows who the bloodline is. The Spirit tells us. You have to worry. You have to go looking in 23andMe or Ancestry.com and know. You will know by the Spirit. And you will know if you're not by the Spirit. And but acknowledging the truth is what causes you to be saved. Acknowledging the truth and receiving the righteousness of the Father. That's what causes you to be saved. Okay? The Most High knows them that are his. He knows. Praise the Most High. Right? So he said, it's going to come to your mind from the nations he drove you, the blessings and the curse. Notice he said the curse last, because that's the last state we're in, the state of the curse. That's the last state we're in. And again, when you read Deuteronomy 28 and you read the curses, what did it say about it? Slavery. Chains on your neck. It's going to come to your mind. Why this happened? Who you are. That's the awakening that's now happening. Okay, it's now underway. That's the awakening. Okay, so now the two witnesses are the 144,000 bringing forth the power of Yah's righteousness as revealed in the two tables of the covenant. The covenant is hated by Satan, which is why he's always misrepresenting it. He's always slandering it. That's why the earth is filled with churches talking about there's no more law. That's why there's people in Muslim talking about we don't need Jesus, we don't need the Messiah. We have Muhammad, and ain't no such thing in the Bible as an Arab prophet. Doesn't exist. But all of this is Satan trying his best to throw away from the truth, the word of the Most High, and the order set by the Father. You have women trying to call themselves goddesses and claim they're leading churches as reverends and pastors. That's not the order of Yah. That's the order of man. That's what he told Eve. You could be a goddess. A wise woman would know that. But one that's filled with self is going to try to be the leader. He didn't say 144,000 women. The word children in 144,000, look it up. It's men. of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel, the word children is men. He's choosing men. So our sisters better be praying for the brothers. Don't jump on the bandwagon with all of this women's ERA bullcrap and down your own brothers. The women's movement, let me just explain this to y'all. The women's movement was started by Ashkenazi named Gloria Steinem, the ERA movement. And it was the white woman's fight with her white man. That's what that was about. It wasn't, the black woman ain't got no fight with the black man. The black man can't keep you down. It was the white woman's fight with her white man, wanting equal rights. She still ain't got it, but they giving you lip service now. And now they had the black woman come in and help them when they called. And so as they're trying to attack their white men, the black women are attacking the brothers. And that's what Hasatan wanted the whole time. That's what he wanted. That was the object. Attack the brothers, because the black males are the ones that the Yah is going to raise up out of these depths of the cesspool to bring forth his message. That's what he's doing, brother. I'm just telling you the truth. Don't be offended. You want to be saved, you better acknowledge the truth. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. So you're going to see 144,000 scattered to the earth, people that have been descendants of slavery and captivity, people that understand and awaken to who they are by these curses and return to the Most High and receive of his spirit of righteousness and teach that to all the people. You understand? Yeah, man, we're about the truth these days. Only men are the 144,000. That's correct. Just like only men were the leaders of the 12 tribes. Just like only men were the spies sent to spy out the land. Just like only men are the 12 apostles. There was no woman. There was lots of women that were with them now. Lots of women. Bible talks about the women were there at the cross or at the tree with him. But they were not the apostles. They were not the apostles. Even there were women prophets, but they are not the apostles. Always he leads with men. And why? Let me just make this clear, because people just want to ignore this. The man was made in the image of the Father. The woman was made in the image of the man. Why is that important? Hasatan hates the man because it represents his enemy, Father and Messiah. So when you're fighting against Hebrew men, you are doing Hasatan's work. Because that's his aim. Destroy the Hebrew man. Because the Hebrew man is representing Messiah and the Father. Because they were made in the image of the Father. The woman was made in the image of the man, not to be worshipped as a goddess. This society's got this thing messed up. And people just bought into it hook, line, and sinker, destroying their own people. But then again, we talked about it, and we're going to talk about it some more. The forces that combined against Messiah were a traitor, Judas, a corrupt leadership that were Israelites but were corrupted, right? An Edomite king, Herod, and the Roman procurator, Pilate, representing Caesar. These forces combined to kill the Hebrew Messiah. But he said, I allowed myself to die. That's what he said. He said, I lay my life down, and he said, I take it up again. This I received of my Father. That's what he said. Okay? So he allowed it because why? Because he's the Lamb. He's the Lamb. He's the sacrifice for sin for the nation of Israel. He said he came to what did he say? To save his people from their sins. I came not but for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. The Father's words must be fulfilled. This is all about. The Father speaks a word, it's going to be fulfilled. That's all this is about. It's the order set forth by the Father. People are so scared of their own selfish aims and needs, they ignore that. So you Caucasian men be like, well, what about us? What about us? No, y'all not in the leadership in this one. You could be saved, though. You could be part of the nation, but you're not leading this thing like y'all been doing for 2,000 years. That's your time. Sons of Japheth time was the last 2,000 years. They started ruling after the sons of Ham. The sons of Ham were the first 2,000 years. And now it's Japheth's turn. Now the times of the Gentiles is being fulfilled. It's coming to an end. No, y'all not leading this final movement. So when you see your sons of Japheth trying to lead this movement, you can know right now that's not going nowhere. That's not going nowhere. Or that, like if you see a woman leading it, that's not going nowhere. That's not going nowhere. I can tell you right now, not going nowhere. Going down. The words of the Father must be fulfilled. 144,000 Israelite men are going to lead this, and they're scattered. And he's working on them now. They're being maligned. They're being set up. They're being placed in debt. Y'all think, and this is the thing that kills me. Let me just look. This society that we have is run by the Federal Reserve Bank. Federal Reserve Bank specializes in putting people in debt. It's very few people that are not in debt. And the media try to act like, we just in debt because we just live in large. The system is set up to put you in debt. How many people, the average house price in the United States is probably like around 200,000, 170,000, the average, right? You got places like New York and San Francisco where the average house price is close to $1 million. Then you got pieces in Podunk where it's like 70, 80,000, right? But can't nobody in none of them places, how many people can just walk up and say, let me just drop this cash on you and buy this house? Maybe if you're an entertainer or you're a politician. But the average person can't do that. You got to get what? A mortgage. Then what? That's debt. You're going to be in debt. Or you're going to rent and pay somebody else's debt. You're doing one or the other. Either you living in somebody's house that you renting, like I'm doing, and paying somebody's debt, or you paying debt. Either way, you're in the same situation. Because the society is built that way. People aren't in debt because they're trying to live large. People in debt because they're trying to survive. And that's the way the system is set up, put you in debt. And especially this is true for the Hebrew male. It's especially true for you. This is a setup, y'all. Setup. That's all it is. It's a setup. You believe them conservatives and them liberals if you want to. It's a setup, y'all, from the word go. And it's all designed to destroy us. Then you got these Judases standing up talking about, we got to invest. We got to build our own community. We got to get dollars. That, you know what those people are? Charlatans. Trying to get rich off you and make themselves gods. That's all. And these reverends are the worst. These pastors are the worst Judases. While you lining their coffers with your money that you earn in this society built to destroy you. You can't go by the few. See, the people, they put up like a LeBron James, right? Or they put up a Denzel Washington, right? Or they put up a Kanye West. And they say, see, these people made it. You could do it too. That is a lie. That is a lie. That is a lie. Those are the few. If you were to say, well, in the United States, there's 46 million Hebrews in the United States. What percentage of those Hebrews are on those levels? Less than 1%? 1%? Less? So that's not the norm. You see, it's the common people we're dealing with, man. Don't listen to these media. It's set up to dog us. It's set up to dog us. And that's why those of us that are following this Bible truth, we are so glad that this thing is coming to a close. This corrupt system is being destroyed. It's going to be destroyed. The whole system. It's corrupt. And the Most High system is so fair and righteous. Even the poorest in the Most High system can walk into a field and get food. Okay? Even the poorest can walk into a field and get food. In the Most High system, he told the Israelites, don't glean the whole field. You go through the field once and you leave the edges so that a poor person can just walk up to it and eat what they want. And then when you go to the Feast of Tabernacles, you bring all the tithe for the Levite and the fatherless and the widow and the poor. And in the Most High system, even on this earth, he set it up so that even the poor will be taken care of. Every 7 years, all debts are forgiven. Every 7 years. They have to declare bankruptcy. Every 7 years, all debts were forgiven in Israel. And every 50th year, if you had some knuckleheads that went and gambled away their family savings and gambled or drunk away all of the money in the land, all of that was restored. Land all restored every Jubilee. So you couldn't be lost. Your family couldn't be too many generations done. Your land would come back to you. All debts forgiven every 7 years. See, that's how they did it in the nation. That's for the poor. So that was hard to stay poor. If they followed the righteous ways, it was hard to stay poor because you're gonna get your family's land no matter who knucklehead came up in your family. And if you got yourself in debt every 7 years, that'd be wiped out. So whoever borrowed money, whoever lended money to you, had to make sure they get it back in 7 years. Otherwise, it was gonna be gone. That's the true righteousness right there. And in the kingdom that we're coming into, there'll be no party without. There'll be no losers and winners. There'll be nobody that's smarter than everybody else and somebody dumber than anybody else, so that people get caught up in this system and get chewed up and spit out. There'll be no adoption where people get raped by grown men, little girls, little boys, get molested. There'll be none of that. There'll be no sodomites. Nobody sticking their penis in somebody else's behind. That's not going to happen in the kingdom. None of that. No nasty stuff. That's why no disease, no death, no hatred, no racial hatred in the kingdom. Nobody afraid of anybody else in the kingdom. That's coming. That's coming. And that's why this one needs to end. It needs to end. And the new one that's coming. And that's why I'm saying to y'all, we're in the sixth trumpet, y'all. 144,000 are being prepared to bear the message of righteousness of the Father's Spirit and of the two tables of the covenant with Israel. And you Gentiles want a piece of this? Come on. Let's ride. You don't want a piece of it? Keep on moving. Keep it moving. We don't want white Jesus. No, we don't want Allah. We don't want the Talmud. You go with that. You don't need to chant Buddhism and Hindu. You go with that. Our God is Yah. He created our nation. We're scattered, but He's about to bring it on. He's about to bring it back. And so the two witnesses, the two tables of the covenant, are under attack. Revelation chapter 11. We saw this last night. Again, and the beast that rises up out of the bottomless pit is the system of Babylon, led by the political religious power of Rome, and copied. That political religious power is copied, led by the United States of America, and spread through the entire planet, as we're going to see when we get to chapter 13. And just like, it's very simple, y'all. Just like what we saw with Messiah's death and betrayal and resurrection is the same thing that's coming to the two witnesses by the same people. By the same people. And you would just say, oh man, I made a good bargain, man. Because if Messiah is real, you know, He's going to thank me for pushing him forward like this. And if he's not real, I just saved us from another false prophet. So give me this money. He thought he made a sharp bargain. He betrayed the Father's Son. It'd been better for Judas if he hadn't been born. Don't worry about Judas's. Only concern with Judas, y'all, is make sure I'm not Judas. Make sure you're not Judas. That's the only concern. Make sure you and mine, we got to make sure our hearts are pure. Okay, the human beings have too weak a judgment to pass on anybody, right? So we got to make sure it's not us. That's why the other 11 were wiser than Judas, because they kept asking Messiah, is it me? Is it me? They just wanted to know that. Master, is it me? Because why? Because you can repent right there. Okay, so there's going to be Judases. Don't worry about them. They might appear to get ahead for a second, but we at the end, brethren, they about to get stamped out. They're about to be like Balaam. They're you know, Revelation, Judas must have been bad, right? Because Messiah said it'd been better for him if he hadn't been born. But Revelation doesn't even mention Judas. Who they mention? They mention Balaam, who was also like Judas. They mention Balaam, the sellout. They mention Balaam. Okay? Same spirit. So don't worry about them, but they're going to be part of this end time. They're going to betray us. Oh, there they are. Oh, this man is preaching that. Oh, let me report to you what this man is preaching. He's seditious. He's against treason. He's against the country. All that's happening now is going to continue. You're going to have Judases. You're going to have that already. Okay? Then there's going to be religious leaders that are lying to the people, misrepresenting the people to control their minds and their pocketbooks. Scribes and Pharisees, you got them right now too. They're already here. All you got to do, here's the telltale sign. Are they asking you for money? Do you need to join by membership and pay some money? That's a sign right there. Do you need to join by membership and pay some money? Are they conning you, saying you need to, you support this ministry, or you need tithes, or you need to pay a fee? Are they asking you for that? If they are, you already know who the scribes and Pharisees are. Okay? Are they pointing you to the righteousness of the Father alone through Messiah? Or are they telling you to read more than just this book? Are they telling you to read a whole bunch of other books, and if you just read this one, you can't be saved? If you just read this one, you're going to be lost? Are they telling you that? These are signs. Are they claiming to be experts and leaders, but they're asking you for money or fees, or to join an organization, or to join a club or a camp or a church? There they go. It's not hard. And it doesn't matter how nice they are and how good they smile and how clean they are. That doesn't matter. What are they doing? What are they saying to you? Are you inspired when you hear them to follow the Father, to receive of his spirit of righteousness, to render obedience through righteousness by faith? The faith of righteousness in the Messiah. Are they doing that? Watch it. They're going to be here all the way to the end. And most people are going to follow them because people are afraid to be alone. See, brethren, there's a real thing called loneliness. It's real. But let me just tell you, loneliness is part of the course of the narrow path that leads to life. It's a narrow road. And yeah, it's not fun, but it's par for the course. John the Baptist stood alone. Elijah before him stood alone. Jeremiah was given Baruch, but even both of them were standing alone. Isaiah had to stand alone. Ezekiel had to stand alone. Messiah was so by himself that he said, you're all going to forsake me, yet I'm not alone because the Father is with me. Paul said that my first answer, no man stood for me when he stood before Caesar. Get used to that. It's a lonely walk. But if you get connected with the Father, you won't be lonely. Angels will be with you. Angels are going to double up around you, and you'll feel them. They'll be with you. And the Father's Spirit, as long as the Father's Spirit is guiding you, man, don't worry about what people do. When we get to the sea of glass with them and the people with the palm branches and the 144,000 with the harps, we'll never be alone again, brethren. Never again. And that's coming. But don't worry about this time. We're in a, remember, don't let the white flowery Jesus fool you. We're in a war, y'all. This is a war. No joke. And yeah, we can laugh, we can joke, we can have fun, but most of the times you're going to be alone. You're going to be alone. Think about it. It's par for the course, y'all. And that's why most people are going to follow these false prophets. They're afraid to be alone. They're afraid to stand alone. They want people with them. Okay? There's some people that have, even if they're with people that are following this truth, they have never stood alone, ever. Beware of those people, because brethren, we're all going to be tested. There's not one of us that's not going to be tested. Every one of us is going to have to prove our loyalty to the truth by standing on the truth in Messiah alone. It's par for the course. Everybody's going to have to do it. What you think? He going to let the prophets do it and you not going to do it? He said, rejoice, because it's an honor to follow the path of the prophets. He says, rejoice. He says, so because so persecuted they the prophets that were before you. Moses, Elijah, Jeremiah, Zephaniah, Zechariah. They killed Zechariah. They killed him. And so, brethren, his own brethren killed him. Okay? Standing alone is not a problem. It's a problem for those that want to follow crowds. It's a problem for those that want to follow leaders that are charismatic and give and ask for their money. It's too. And this message is too important. It's priceless. It's priceless. There's no price I can put and say I need this money. There's no price for this, man. And I didn't receive it by buying it or earning it. And nobody has. Anybody that's in this truth, in the spirit of the Father, what did they earn? Everything we got from him. And most of the Hebrews are poor. Where are you going to take money from poor people? I've seen churches do it for decades. Women and sisters, old sisters, widows, or just single women, or especially, but men too, living on Social Security and trying to return tithe, right? And ain't got enough money to pay everything in the tithe too. But listening to the pastor say, "Oh, you're gonna get blessed double if you give us them 10%." Thieves, man, thieves. Ain't no tithe. Ain't no Levites around here that they need to be returning tithe to. We scattered. We're in our enemy's land. Now you just got to look out for the poor and the widows. That's what Paul did. Look out for the poor, the widows, the fatherless. That's who need the money. People that are poor need the money. We should be helping each other. See, when we get the Father's Spirit really in us, I wouldn't need to tell you that. When the Father's Spirit is working in your heart and you see somebody in trouble, it's going to be, listen, how many of us don't know somebody that's in trouble, man? All of us do, right? And you know somebody in trouble and you got a couple of dollars, you're going to just give it to them. Nobody got to tell you, and you ain't going to have to broadcast it. They need something, and you got it, you give it to them. That's the spirit that was in Acts. Nobody had to come to you and say, we should all do this. That's not something that we'll have to tell you. If the Father's Spirit is with you, and you see somebody in trouble that you know, you're going to help them. You're going to help them. You understand? Because the Father's Spirit is guiding you. That's how it works, man. So the two witnesses are going to be under attack by the beast that comes out of the bottomless pit, which represents this planet system of Rome, led by that, and also the United States. It's a government, a kingdom that comes out of the pit of hell and in the abyss and going to the grave when it's done. That's what it says here, Revelation chapter 11, verse 7. And when they shall have finished their testimony, the beast that ascendeth out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them and shall overcome them and kill them. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Messiah was crucified. That is the combination of the peoples we talked about, the Judases, the religious leaders, the Edomites, and the sons of Yafet from Rome, representing that whole world system. Okay, spiritually, that's what this world is right now. Sodom and Egypt, the house of bondage. That's what it is. The house of bondage. And if it doesn't have you in physical bondage, which it has many thousands and hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people in physical bondage right now, it has you in financial bondage, does it not? Did I not mention that this world is based in debt? The whole world is based in a system of debt, and it's going to remain that way, because debt, the Bible says, the borrower is servant to the lender. The borrower is servant to the lender. It's going to be that way. Okay, it's going to be that way. So that's what this is called, Sodom and Egypt. Verse 9. This is where we start today. And they of the people and kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half. That's another 3.5 years, 1,260 days, 42 months. and shall not suffer their dead bodies be put in graves. They're gonna have that's disrespect, right? So when somebody is killed, generally you bury them, right? You bury the person that's killed. Sometimes you have a little ceremony, but you always bury them. They said they're gonna let their bodies rot in the street. That's how much disrespect they have for the covenant of Yah. They're gonna let their dead bodies rot in the street. Let's take a look and see what this means. The two witnesses are being killed. Notice Daniel chapter 8. Daniel chapter 8. Talking about this same beast that rises out of the bottomless pit is in Daniel chapter 8. Daniel chapter 8, notice what it says. Daniel chapter 8, verse 11. Watch what it talks about the relationship between this beast that rises up out of the bottomless pit and the truth. Watch the relationship between it. Watch. Daniel chapter 8, beginning at verse 11. Yea, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host. That's Messiah. Magnified himself to be greater than Messiah. And by him, the daily sacrifice was taken away. That's it. Measure the temple and them that worship therein, but the court leave out is given to the Gentiles, and they shall tread the holy city underfoot 42 months. There it is again. Okay. The place of his sanctuary was cast down, and an host was given him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression. And notice, it cast the truth to the ground, and it practiced and what? Prospered in casting the truth to the ground. That's why it kills the two witnesses and they celebrate. Why? Verse 10 of Revelation chapter 11. And they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them and make merry, and shall send gifts one to another, because these two prophets tormented them that dwell on the earth. You see, kill the witnesses. Talked about this last night. Kill the witnesses, because the witnesses saw your face. They know who you are. Kill the witnesses. You're committing crimes when you violate the covenant of Yah. Kill the witnesses. The witnesses that saw your crimes, that report, kill the witnesses. And that's how they operate. They're going to attack the covenant and attack the messengers of the covenant, the 144,000. Once the witness, it says when they have finished their witness or finished their testimony, and they testify in sackcloth for 3.5 years. We're coming up on that. And when they finish their testimony, the beast, the system of Babylon, the system of Rome, the system of the United States will kill them. That means they will not be witnessing anymore. No rain. No rain. Okay? No rain. That means no spirit of Father ever convicting them again. Completely given over to the enemy. They'll rejoice. See, you can rejoice and be in Asatan. You can be in Asatan spirit and rejoice. You can still smile and laugh and still be one, completely one with Asatan. Notice it said, and they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them and make merry, and shall send gifts one to another, because these two prophets tormented them that dwell on the earth. They're gonna be happy about this. Just like the scribes and Pharisees, were they not happy when Messiah was put to death? Did not Pilate was about to let Messiah go, wasn't he? He was about to let him go until the religious leaders of Israel, the corrupt leaders, said, if you let this man go, you're not Caesar's friend. Because there is no king but Caesar. This man said he's a king. And the Bible says Pilate, when he heard that, immediately sat in the judgment seat and put that man to death. Oh, get rid of this guy. I don't want no problems from him. I like my job. Get rid of this guy. I don't want no problems from him. I like my job. Even when his wife sent a message to him saying, hey, don't have anything to do with this guy. I had a dream because of him. Don't mess with him. He said, nah, man. They talking about reporting me to Caesar. Oh, hell no. Put him on a tree. That's what it's about. And so Pilate was happy. Scribes and Pharisees were happy. And they told all the people, be happy. We got rid of a false prophet. Be happy. He was a false prophet. The two witnesses tormented them. And it's going to happen again. It's going to happen now. The people that hate truth, which is the majority of this people of this world, Boy, they're gonna be mad when they hear that message. They're gonna be mad when they hear what I'm telling y'all today. People are gonna be mad when people that are gonna listen to this now are gonna be very upset. And you might say, well, why is it true? Well, brother, come on now. Since when is truth popular on planet Earth, y'all? Come on. This world is led by liars, man. Since when is truth? Man, you committing blasphemy and treason. You speak the truth. And the truth as it is in the Father and Messiah and his word. Father is the origin of all things that are true. And Messiah is his representative, and Messiah give his spirit, and all of that is truth. Whatever Most High inspires his Hebrew prophets to say is truth. It's called prophecy. It's truth. And anything that hates truth gonna hate them. And this world is run and ruled by liars. I mean, think about it. This earth is ruled and run and organized by liars. It's not complicated, man. It's just hard for people to accept. It's not complicated. It really isn't. It's very simple to see, but most people don't want to accept it because it's scary to accept the truth about it. It's scary to understand that, all your politicians, your presidents, your leaders, your prime ministers are all liars. The leaders of the biggest religious churches and denominations, liars, which means they are controlled by the father of lies. Which tells you where they're all headed. Okay? Now, Messiah was put to death, right? Put to death, and they thought they got rid of him. Even had some guards posted at the graves because they said that deceiver, while he was yet alive, claimed that he's going to be raised up on the third day. His disciples didn't even remember that. But his enemies remembered that. Take note of that. The enemies knew. They said, listen, put a guard there, please, so they don't steal his body by night and say he was resurrected and now it's going to be worse than if we hadn't killed him. Policy, yeah, you have to get it done. Yeah, we don't want no more trouble from this guy. Same with the two witnesses. It said in Revelation that they're supposed to raise up. We got to make sure this doesn't happen. We got to kill them, hundred. We got to kill them people out there in the wilderness. We got to kill them. Get rid of these witnesses in their message. Revelation chapter. You seen it yet? Watch. Revelation chapter 11, verse 11. After 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from Yah entered into them, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon all them which saw them. That's called what? Resurrection. It looked like the truth was done. All of a sudden, there's Elijah. And Ahab looking all over the earth for this brother, trying to kill him. After 3.5 years, all of a sudden, there he is. Right in your face, baby. There he is. 144,000. There they are. We thought we got rid of them. There they are. Verse 12. And they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, come up hither. And they ascended to heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them. What does it say about us? Messiah say, should I say, Paul wrote, the Father's Spirit, Paul wrote, we shall not prevent them which is asleep. Messiah shall ascend from heaven with a shout. And those of us that are alive shall meet Messiah in the air with those that are resurrected. Where are we going to meet? You should be able to tell me by now, when we done read these 7 churches and 7 seals and 7 trumpets. Where are they going to meet? On the sea of glass. Why the sea of glass? Because the Father's throne is the sea of glass is before the Father's throne. And we're going to meet in the air on the sea of glass. That's the wedding that's going to take place between Messiah and his bride. Praise the Most High. It's coming, brethren. It's coming. Somebody said, well, that's rapture. I don't care what you call it. The Bible said we're going to be on the sea of glass. We're going to be on the sea of glass. You can call it what you want. See, the problem, brethren, is when men start putting man-made words to heavenly things. Don't put man-made words to it. Ain't no word rapture in the Bible. Ain't no word rapture there. What you putting that for there? But it does say we're going to be on the sea of glass, does it not? And I want to show you something. 2 sets of people on the sea of glass, right? We saw it already, but let's just look at it again. Revelation chapter 7. Revelation chapter 7. Revelation 7, beginning at verse 9. After this, I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed in white robes and palms in their hands. And they cried with a loud voice, saying, Salvation to our Most High, which sitteth upon the throne, and unto the Lamb. And all the angels stood round about the throne, about the elders and the 4 beasts, and fell before the throne on their faces and worshiped Jah, saying, Amen. Blessing and glory and wisdom and thanksgiving and honor and power and might be to our Most High forever and ever. And one of the elders answered, saying unto me, What are these which are arrayed in white robes? Whence came they? And so we talked about that being 144,000, but there's the palm branches, and they're before the throne. And we already saw that before the throne, Revelation chapter 4, verse 6. And before the throne was there a sea of glass, like unto crystal. So we're standing on the sea of glass, all the redeemed before the throne and before the Lamb. Okay. Also, which we're going to read when we get forward now, Revelation chapter 15. Revelation 15, verse 1 and 2. And I saw another sign in heaven, great and marvelous, 7 angels having the 7 last plagues, for in them is filled up the wrath of Yah. And I saw, as it were, a sea of glass, mingled with fire, and them that had gotten victory over the beast, and over his image, and over the mark, and over the number of his name, standing on the sea of glass, having the harps of Yah. That's the 144,000. Okay, because they have harps. The other people got palm branches in their hand, but the 144,000 have harps. Why? Because they're singing a song. Revelation chapter 14. Revelation chapter 14. Verse 2 and 3. And I heard a voice from heaven as the voice of many waters, as the voice of a great thunder. And I heard the voice of harpers, harping with their harps. And they sung, as it were, a new song before the throne and before the 4 beasts and the elders. And no man could learn that song but the 144,000, which were redeemed from the earth. These are they. Well, we'll go into that later. But you can see them standing with harps on their hands, singing a song that only they can sing, which is why when the rest of the people are standing on the sea of glass with palms in their hands, a question is asked, who are these? These are the 144,000 with the harps. And it says, verse 3 of chapter 15, Revelation 15, verse 3, and they sing the song of Moses, the servant of Yah, and the song of the Lamb. So Moses and Yahushua are the only 2 that can sing this song with them because of their experience. Okay. And that experience includes giving a message in these last days that's going to cause them to be hunted, to be killed, but brought back up to the sea of glass. Praise the Most High Yahweh. We're going to read more about this after the break. And we got to go into some Ezekiel. Yes, this is representative. Chapter 11 is representative of the closing message, which is also Revelation 18, and also Daniel chapter 11, verse 45, 46. 44, 45, sorry. Now there's no 46. 44, 45. And also this is representative of the first resurrection, Revelation 19. All of this is the same thing. Okay, it's all the same thing. And so the 144,000 are going to be the instruments that bring forth the message that Most High brings forth to the earth to call his people into truth and righteousness from wherever they are. And when the people receive this truth and righteousness, it's going to enrage the enemies of truth, and they're going to want to kill them. And it's going to call down plagues upon this planet worldwide. because the people are scattered. Okay? All that is coming very shortly. There's some dramatic things coming, but it starts right now with the seal in the forehead of the 144,000, with them receiving the seal of Yah in their forehead, and them also being prepared to teach and beginning to teach. It's already started. It's not something that happens just like in one day. It's a process that's already ongoing, like seasons change, like years change. This process is ongoing until it's completed. Once it's completed, you're going to see it. It's going to be on. At that point, it's going to be on. Okay. And like I'm telling y'all, watch 2027. That year is going to be important. 2027 now. It's a Jubilee year. It's the 40th Jubilee year from Messiah. Okay. Watch that. 40. Time of testing. It's the 40th Jubilee year. Okay. So here we go. We're coming upon it. That's what I'm telling you. Those of us that love truth are rejoicing because we know this is all coming to a close. All of this suffering, all of this wails and cries and pains and unrighteousness and dishonesty and lies coming to an end. Coming to an end. Okay. And truth is going to reign. That's a beautiful thing, isn't it? Okay. We're going to take a break now. It's 1:16 Eastern time, 12:30. No, I'm sorry, 12:32. I've been talking for an hour and 16. It's 12:32 Eastern time. I'm going to stop here, and we're going to come back at let's say 1:10. I'm going to come back at 1:10, and we're going to do the rest of chapter 11 by the grace of the Most High. We're going to be reading a lot in Ezekiel in the second part because Ezekiel has the two resurrections in it. Chapter 39 is the first resurrection, and chapter 38 is the second resurrection. We're going to be talking about that as we're dealing with here in Revelation chapter 11, and we're going to be dealing with the end of the sixth trumpet and the beginning of the seventh, which is the last one. Okay? The seventh trumpet is the first resurrection. Seventh seal is the first resurrection. Seventh church is the first resurrection. And there's 7 last plagues that come in these last 7s. Isn't that all powerful? It's something else, isn't it? All right. Praise the Most High. May the Most High bless you, keep you, and cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you, and lift up his countenance upon you and give you shalom, his peace, and his righteousness. We'll be back at 1:10.